Richard Rhodes, Energy, A Human History. Embark on a captivating journey through Energy, A Human History, by Richard Rhodes as you explore the powerful and transformative world of energy sources, their development, impacts, and implications. Throughout this book's summary, delve into the beginnings of coal mining and the rise of steam power, discover how whale oil lighting led to petroleum exploration, and examine the challenges of fuel distribution and the ensuing wars. The interconnectedness of seemingly unrelated industries, the environmental consequences of our energy choices, and the journey towards a sustainable future all come to life in this fascinating exploration of our ever-evolving relationship with energy.
Steam power revolution. The need to find a viable solution for water protection in mines led to the development of steam power, transforming the world of energy and transportation. Originating with the work of Thomas Savery, these engines eventually evolved into more powerful and efficient models through the inventions of Thomas Newcomen and James Watt. As a result of steam power, numerous industries were revolutionized, perhaps most notably the advent of steam locomotives, which expanded the possibilities of transportation and changed our perception of the world. In the world of coal mining and energy production, the need to find an efficient solution to protect mines from water resulted in the birth of steam power. English engineer Thomas Savery was responsible for the development of the first steam engine in 1698, but its lack of sufficient power necessitated an improved engine for the growing coal industry. With Thomas Newcomen's redesigned steam engine in 1712, a new standard was established for mines throughout Europe. However, despite its success, Newcomen's invention was not powerful enough to create a substantial impact. The groundbreaking advancement would come in the form of Scottish engineer James Watt's addition of a separate condenser in 1763, leading to the creation of a remarkably efficient machine. Watt's steam engines provided an affordable and versatile form of energy that moved beyond its original purpose of pumping water from mines. The impact was enormous, particularly with the emergence of steam locomotives, which replaced traditional horse-drawn coal wagons on iron rails. These innovative transport systems proved to be reliable and efficient, and it wasn't long before they were adopted for passenger travel as well. The birth of the Liverpool to Manchester Railway in 1830, the first intercity rail system solely powered by steam locomotives, marked a critical turning point. With its overwhelming success, rail networks spread rapidly across the United Kingdom. The advent of steam-powered passenger trains changed the way we interacted with the world, no longer limited by the distance a horse could travel in a day, and prompting a significant expansion of our horizons. Lighting the path to progress. The demand for artificial lighting triggered innovations in oil and electricity, revolutionizing the world. William Murdoch's gaslight became a public sensation, while the scarcity of whale oil forced people to seek alternatives, ultimately leading to the discovery of petroleum. Michael Faraday's breakthrough in converting mechanical work to electricity later paved the way for hydroelectric plants and helped power artificial light, shaping our modern world. Once upon a time, in a world far removed from the well-lit streets of today, early civilizations fell into darkness each night as candles and oil lamps struggled to keep shadows at bay. As cities expanded and grew, safer and more effective public lighting became a necessity, and the drive to bring light where there was darkness radically changed the world. Enter William Murdoch, an engineer under the tutelage of James Watt. Murdoch's gaslight invention thrilled the crowds and it illuminated Watt's Soho foundry in 1802. Gaslight took the world by storm, spreading through factories and houses and, by 1815, lighting up London streets. However, gaslight had its limits. Many families still relied on oil lamps, with whale oil being the fuel of choice. Unfortunately, whale populations began to dwindle due to overhunting, leading to skyrocketing prices and the search for alternative fuel sources. Camp Hine, a mixture of turpentine, grain alcohol, and kerosene, emerged as a popular choice. This newfound interest in kerosene signaled the start of the oil revolution. Petroleum, previously dismissed as a mere nuisance, now offered a valuable resource, a prime source of kerosene. In 1859, Edwin Drake made history by being the first person to drill for oil. Though society had not yet grasped the true potential of petroleum, the world was beginning to shift. In parallel, another profound transformation was taking place. Scientists had played with the concept of electricity for some time, but the means to harness its sheer power remained a mystery. This all changed in 1831 when Michael Faraday discovered that mechanical work, like turning a crank, could be transformed into electricity. If a small crank could generate a bit of electricity, then a mighty waterfall could generate much more. In 1882, the world's inaugural hydroelectric plant emerged on the banks of Wisconsin's Fox River, powering 2 local paper mills' artificial lighting. From the humble beginnings of candles and oil lamps to the power of gaslight and finally the mastery of electricity, the pursuit of harnessing artificial light changed the world. The dedication to finding new, more effective ways of lighting up the darkness drove progress and innovation, paving the way for a brighter, more illuminated future. Breakthroughs amidst resource scarcity. The adoption of new energy sources is a complex process involving transportation, distribution, and supply availability. Progress often emerges as a response to outside forces such as limited resources, wars, or technological advancements. From oil and natural gas to automobiles, breakthroughs in energy technology have shaped our world and continue to do so amidst concerns about finite resources. No new energy source is embraced without overcoming an intricate set of challenges. One critical set of issues revolves around transportation and distribution. For instance, during the early days of oil, its storage and transportation were difficult to figure out. The first oil fields used leaky wooden barrels and rafts to transport the precious resource, resulting in significant losses. Similarly, natural gas faced supply issues when first introduced. Pittsburgh, a city that switched from coal to natural gas in the 1880s, benefited from improved air quality. However, in just a few years, the city's gas supply depleted, and it had to revert to coal. The technology needed to transport natural gas to the city took over half a century to develop, highlighting the dependency of new energy sources on technological advancements. The history of the automobile speaks to the competitive relationship between different energy sources. Cars were initially powered by steam, electricity, alcohol, or petroleum, all vying to produce the most efficient engine. Once petroleum engines became dominant, concerns emerged over diminishing oil reserves, prompting the search for alternative fuels and new drilling methods. This development had lasting repercussions on global geopolitics, especially related to oil-rich regions such as Saudi Arabia. Even armed conflicts have roots in energy resources. Wars in the energy-dense Middle East aren't a novel occurrence. Historically, resource scarcity has driven countries and regions to wage battles over essential supplies. England, facing a wood shortage, turned to coal after losing access to American timber in the 18th century. The American Civil War led to a surge in petroleum demand when an alcohol tax shifted the focus from alcohol-based fuels to petroleum. Overall, the adoption of new energy sources is an intricate dance between transportation, distribution, sustainability, and geopolitical forces. As finite resources dwindle, technological developments, breakthroughs, and competition pave the path forward for new and improved sources of energy. As society continues to evolve, so will the search for reliable and efficient energy solutions in response to external pressures and ever-changing demands. Ripple effects of energy sources. Each new energy source significantly impacts various industries, ultimately transforming society as a whole. The emergence of coal and automobiles reshaped labor laws, agriculture, and urban landscapes in ways that still have lasting consequences. The adoption of coal as an energy source in England led to a dramatic shift in labor policies. During the time of coal mining's early years, it was prevalent for entire families, including young children, to work in the mines. However, as the working conditions were treacherous and exhausting, Parliament eventually intervened with the Mines Act of 1842. This act prohibited women and children from working in mines and marked the beginning of a new era, where politics and labor would intertwine to create better work regulations. Beyond labor, the rise and fall of energy sources have also affected agriculture. For centuries, horses had been a common sight in cities. Manhattan, for example, housed 130,000 working horses in 1900. This large population of horses created a substantial demand for hay and grain, providing significant income for farmers. Additionally, the inevitable byproduct of horses, manure, created a lucrative industry that collected and repurposed manure as fertilizer. The advent of automobiles altered this balance between horse-based agriculture and urban life. While cars and horses initially coexisted, the growing popularity of automobiles caused the number of horses to dramatically decline. Consequently, the demand for horse-related agriculture decreased, and horse manure transformed from a valuable commodity into a public health concern. As the agriculture industry adapted to the dwindling need for horse-related resources, a new automotive industry emerged, with filling stations and repair shops replacing farmlands. This shift from agriculture to automotive industries serves as a profound example of how new energy sources can transform entire sectors and society at large. From smog to environmental change. The awareness of energy impact on the environment, particularly air pollution, has come a long way since the days of smog-ridden cities during the Industrial Revolution. Ignored initially, the devastating consequences of air pollution garnered attention after World War II, leading to new discoveries about its sources and fueling the fight for change via the establishment of organizations like the Environmental Protection Agency. Historically, climate change was not a widely grasped concept, and the adverse effects of energy use on the environment were often overlooked. Smog, an easily visible manifestation of energy's environmental impact, became a symbol of progress and civilization in coal-burning cities like London during the Industrial Revolution. Health hazards from air pollution remained largely ignored until much later. Post-World War II, an incident in Donora, Pennsylvania in 1948, where a toxic fog caused 20 deaths, marked a shift in perception. Shortly after, another tragic event in London, where 3,000 people lost their lives due to toxic fog, raised alarm. Investigations revealed sulfur dioxide emissions from burnt coal as the main culprit behind the lethal smog. However, cars and oil fields also contributed to air pollution, as chemist Ari Haagen-Smit discovered in the early 1950s when analyzing smog in Los Angeles. This finding displeased the automotive and oil industries, which sought to discredit Haagen-Smidt's research. Despite their resistance, Haagen-Smit persevered and uncovered irrefutable evidence of air pollution sources and harmful effects. In response, President Richard Nixon established the Environmental Protection Agency in 1970, marking the beginning of a decisive battle against air pollution. Although understanding the long-term environmental consequences of new technologies takes time, it's undeniable that throughout history, environmental concerns have frequently been overlooked or dismissed. Our journey from deeming smog a symbol of progress to dedicating agencies to combat air pollution exemplifies a vital shift toward placing greater importance on the environmental impact of energy use. Energizing a growing world. As the global population is predicted to reach 10 billion by 2100, there is a pressing need to provide affordable and reliable energy resources while minimizing environmental impact. Wind and solar power, despite their long history of use and subsequent advancements, still face significant limitations in terms of their capacity factor, resulting in inconsistent power generation. In comparison, nuclear power plants maintain a high efficiency rate of 92.1%, offering a more reliable and cost-effective alternative in the fight against climate change. Ultimately, a mix of energy sources will be necessary to meet the demands of a growing population and tackle the world's energy challenges. Wind energy, with its historical roots and early adoption of electricity generation in 1887 Scotland, was particularly popular in rural areas during the first half of the 20th century. However, its potential to generate power remains significantly limited. By 2016, wind electrical capacity had only accomplished 487 gigawatts, accounting for less than 1% of the world's total power. Similarly, solar power has experienced substantial growth since Bell Telephone introduced the silicon photovoltaic cell in the 1950s. Through multiple refinements and ongoing research, solar technology has become more cost-effective. Yet, even with a growing global reliance on solar energy, it only generates between 1 and 4% of the world's electricity. The primary challenge facing both wind and solar power is their capacity factor, or the percentage of time they spend generating electricity. Wind turbines function at a 34.7% capacity factor, while solar power operates at only 27.2%. With electricity generation constrained to real-time needs and limited storage capability, the question remains, what happens when the wind doesn't blow, or the sun doesn't shine? In contrast, nuclear power plants maintain an impressive 92.1% capacity factor, outperforming even established energy sources such as coal and natural gas. Though initial construction, operation, and maintenance costs are high for nuclear power plants, their superior capacity factor renders them a highly cost-effective energy solution. Climate change poses an unprecedented energy challenge, one that no single solution can mitigate. To power our rapidly growing global population, a combination of diverse energy sources must seamlessly integrate to meet increasing demands and conquer the world's energy crisis. United Path to Decarbonized Energy. Tomorrow's energy challenges call for combined efforts to develop and adopt renewable, nuclear, and futuristic energy technologies. Decarbonizing our sources is integral, and the transition to cleaner alternatives, such as nuclear and solar power, is vital in combating climate change. However, despite the urgency to shift to sustainable energy production, technological and societal factors contribute to the time-consuming process of adoption. Our planet's future hinges on our ability to switch to more sustainable energy systems. Aware of the limitations of fossil fuels and the global impact of climate change, it is necessary to focus on a blend of diverse energy sources. Renewable, nuclear, and advanced technologies need to unite, forming the backbone of more sustainable energy production. Decarbonizing our energy sources is the single most crucial objective. Transitioning to an option that yields less carbon dioxide is decarbonizing and benefits our environment. For instance, natural gas produces half the carbon dioxide emissions of coal, while nuclear and solar power generate a fraction compared to natural gas. Upgrading from coal to natural gas is a vital first step, but the real game changer is transitioning to cleaner alternatives like nuclear or solar energy. As we explore novel energy sources, we need to recognize that their adoption takes time. Energy sources that ultimately secure a significant market share typically require about a century to do so. Multiple factors contribute to this lengthy process. New technologies experience growing pains, needing to be refined, perfected, and optimized for efficiency. Additionally, emerging technology demands the creation of supporting infrastructure, often built from the ground up. For example, oil distribution now relies on pipelines, but this priorly required the development of barrels and detailed analyses to establish its uses. Such advancements take time. The most time-consuming factor, however, is the human element. People are slow to change their habits and embrace new perspectives. Acknowledging that our dependence on fossil fuels exacerbates climate change and they will eventually be depleted, the challenge is breaking centuries-old habits ingrained in society. Addressing this challenge is non-negotiable. Meeting the energy demands of our growing global population can only be accomplished through a combination of decarbonized energy sources. Continuously inventing, innovating, learning from our failures, and advancing our technology is how we will maintain life on this planet for future generations.
The rich history of human energy consumption presented in Energy, A Human History, tells a story of continuous adaptation and innovation. As the quickly approaching future beckons us to redefine our energy sources, We learn valuable lessons from our historical experiences with coal, steam, oil, and electricity. The most crucial takeaway from this book is that our energy future will depend on the combined efforts of renewable, nuclear, and future technologies. The faster we recognize the need to adapt and develop a diverse energy portfolio, the better we'll be prepared to face challenges and secure a sustainable world for future generations.